Luke Webber, pole position in RX8 Cup, second last round of the year. How did it feel out there?
Car was quick, felt good. First 4 laps were pretty good. We're still chasing a problem that reoccurred later in the qualifying, so hoping to get that sorted before next race. It was all right. I didn't mind it. This is my second time here, so still sort of trying to get my head around the track. Never raced anything before, so this is the first season sort of thing. I loved it. Really cost efficient. I'm loving it. Try and get out front and conserve some tyre. I hope that's the plan.
Final round of the Oxsafe Australia RX8 Cup at Sydney Motorsport Park for the Motorsport Australia New South Wales Championship, and getting a great start down the inside there. Justin Barnes sweeping into second place. Terry Lewis coming around the outside. There's Brad Harris out in front, Gary.
Yeah, Brad Harris has got a great start there. Of course, this is the last round of the New South Wales Championship. We've still got the National Championship coming up in December, the last round of that, which is at Phillip Island.
It'll be a great track in the RX8s down at Phillip Island, but first we've got to get through this round at Sydney Motorsport Park. Of course, the guys have run here fairly regularly over the years, so they all know what they're needing to do as we go on board with Brad Harris, who's got a comfortable lead. Looked like we had Tom Shaw picking up a couple of positions as well as we come over the hill for the first time and through the back section of the circuit. You can see Jack Panacia up there as well. There's Noakes going around the outside. Somebody's slowing a little bit to the inside.
It looks like Webber, is it, that's having some dramas there. But did you notice that Harris had to put the window up to get the aeroflow a little bit better going across the top of the tunnel? It must have been a bit of a crosswind at the time.
It was quite a warm weekend in Sydney Motorsport Park as well, late October, so long days and plenty of heat out there as we swing around with the 99 of Andrew Shah. Gold down the side of the black RX8 there, and one of them off. We've got a replay. This is Brent Peters. Just look up in front and a little bit of sideways motoring and taking to the grass on the inside. Not sure exactly who that was, so we've got a replay on board with Martin Lyle. That's who it was. So Martin Lyle's looked to the inside and just got a little bit eager on the gas, Gary.
Well, I think he might have been a bit wary that he might have ran into that car on the outside and turned it in a bit narrower, and that's what happened. We must mention too that Justin Lewis hasn't taken a start. Unfortunately had an accident in qualifying, which certainly changed the aerodynamics on the front of his RX8.
Brent Peters, we're on board now to the inside of the number 2 of David Grice. These guys are battling just outside the top 10, but the fight is on in earnest between 4 or 5 cars, and you can just see Maisie Place in the green RX8 just behind. She'll be looking to buy into it as well if these guys keep on fighting on, as somebody else returns to the pits in the back of shot. Not exactly sure who that was. I think that might be Kiara Abekas.
Or was it Dean Chapman? One of the two,
yeah, as they come up over the hill. Lyle continuing to put pressure on. There's settled into a rhythm after that first lap, little over-exuberance, you could say, around this section of the course. And now we've got to see what we've got coming from these guys battling.
Look at this, 3 wide as they head down into this corner.
Ooh, see the corrections from Lyle there into turn 2 as he locks the rears a little bit, you might think, and he's trying to see if he can get down the inside now of the 26. Not quite sure he's made as Peters. A little bit of a touch there as they come through this final complex. So Thomas Petrovic in front in the blue RX8 Cup car. And Petrovic defending pretty hard to the inside as Peters now tries to look to the outside. And it's not going to quite make it work through turn 1. So ebbing and flowing in this little battle pack down the field.
There might be a little bit more spread out towards the front, but certainly down the back it's going on quite intensely, isn't it?
It definitely is. There's Brad Harris here on board with him. He's got a little bit of a gap. You can see Justin Barnes in behind in the 44. The just-in-time auto glass car, followed by Terry Lewis and Shannon McLean right behind them as well. These guys are all just far enough apart to not be able to make a move on each other or really pressure enough, I guess you could say, for somebody to make a mistake in the corner. So it's all about just trying to get into that zone where you're close enough to put the pressure on in this period of the race.
And our series leader Tom Shaw is back behind this group of 4, and there's no doubt his intentions are to just keep ticking over the points and to secure the New South Wales Championship.
That's it. That's what his focus is this weekend. If he can do that, that'd be a great season for him in RX8 Cup. Of course, he's got to make sure to keep it on the island, keep it straight, and just not get involved in any silly little battles. But in the late afternoon here, you can see that this has just caused these guys to sort of split apart. McLean's trying to put as much pressure onto Lewis as he can. Of course, Lewis has been involved with the category since its inception. Shannon has taken over that car from his father, which has been a great thing to see, and he's really developed his racing credentials.
Yeah, it's the old versus the young here, isn't it? Terry Lewis, a veteran of racing Mazdas in improved production in the early years, and then he became an Australian production car champion in a Commodore around 1990, I believe, and had a hiatus out of the sport of something like 20-odd years, and now has come back and looks like he's really enjoying his racing.
On to the final lap here at Sydney Motorsport Park for race 1 of the OXSAFE Australia RX8 Cup Series for 2022. Of course, the final state championship round. You see, McLean's been able to close the gap ever so slightly. He probably wishes there was 3 or 4 more laps left in this one, because he's been able to close it down to Terry Lewis in the last couple. But I don't think he'll quite be able to get there before the end of this race.
Yeah, one of the few drivers there that holds 4th gear going down the straight, doesn't opt to change into 5th and holds the revs up. Probably has it hitting the rev limiter down there, I would imagine, or near enough, rather than go for the upper gear. But here's Brad Harris. Good start to the final round for him out in front, and he's quite celebrationary about that, isn't he? Getting across the line. Ahead of Barnes, Lewis in 3rd, then McLean, followed by Thomas Shaw and Jack Panaccia in position 6.
Yeah, it's a great opening race for the OXSAFE Australia RX8 Cup.
Apparently, Webber had a fuel issue and unfortunately didn't finish that race, so cruelled his chances after getting on to pole position in qualifying. But Tom Shaw's made a great start here and already disposed of a couple on his way to 3rd position on the opening lap into the first set of corners.
He's going to look to the outside of Justin Barnes in the run into turn 2, and just look at that field of RX8s. 21 cars out for the second race of the weekend. It's good to see so many cars out there, and mostly very tight, very clean racing amongst all of them, as we go on board with Jackson Noakes, who's trying to put pressure on Panaccia.
Yeah, well, he finished in the top 10 in the first race, so he's keen to go further up the field if he can.
See them through turn 4, nose to tail. He's not quite been able to get the run to be able to have a go at him, and we'll just see if he can get the run over through the back section. Ben Shaw sitting behind them in the Optus car, an immaculately turned out car, that one as well. It definitely turns your head as he goes past. What's that?
Well, this
Ben Shaw looks to the inside.
This is a certain problem for each of those guys as we go back to a replay, and we've got a bit of a moment there as David Grice gets in all sorts of bother getting out of that corner there and heading up towards turn 6.
We'll see it here from Martin Lyles on board. He just, a bit wide and just gets the slide on, and then, a bit too much correction, and Lyle takes the position. Thank you very much.
He had a look at that, we'll take that.
Just glances across and makes sure as we go back to the front of the field. And you can see there, Shannon McLean's dropped down the order in the opening stages. There he is, the 88 car, and he's lost probably, 4 positions on the opening lap.
Well, I think Terry Lewis had some dramas at the start, and McLean was caught up behind him, and I think they both lost position. And poor Shannon McLean, who, through no fault of his own, obviously, had to check up, and it dropped him spots. And now he's trying to get him back and looking for a way through the opposition as he heads down through turn 1 towards turn 2. Now he pulls out, and someone's having to go at him as well.
So in front of them in the 81 is Daniel Flanagan, who's having a run with the RX8 Cup, of course, from Canberra in the SEQL car, a long-time supporter of RX8 Cup, and he's showing pretty good racecraft here to be right up in amongst it. Of course, we've seen Flanagan in a lot of other categories over the years racing hard. And look at him now down the inside of Noakes. These two are going to battle side by side through turns 4 and 5.
Well, McLean dropped out badly there because he opted to follow Noakes, and Flanagan went down the outside and took the position. So as it turned out, McLean dropped the spot, but can he get it back? He has. So he's now behind Flanagan again as they run out of turn 8 and up towards the top of the track.
He'll be trying to work on the back of Flanagan and see if he can make his way through. It's the rest of the field there in behind. The 27 car of Noakes just holding off Luke Webber, who's charged his way back through after those dramas in race 1.
Ooh.
So up inside the top 10 now.
One of the cars behind him had a big moment coming through into turn 11.
Oh,
Here's McLean on Flanagan down at turn 1, gets that spot back.
that was a good move, wasn't it?
Was.
Down into turn 1, takes the authoritative move, and look at the Webber down behind as well. Gets past Noakes, he's looking to the inside of Flanagan here to see if he can get through. So great drive from Luke Webber, and all behind, it's all kicking off.
Well, he didn't do a very good execution of the exit of turn 2.
Yeah.
Got a little bit twisted, and there's Terry Lewis in the background as well. So he was the one that dropped the most.
Yep.
McLean, as we mentioned, got balked and lost the momentum as well.
Now that red, black and white car, number 98, is Thomas Duncan, who's sort of come through this group very quickly as well, following Webber. So he's been able to pick up a few positions in this stage of the race and get himself towards that front group. And you can see Terry Lewis behind Noakes. So as you said, Gary, that opening lap drama caused him to fall a long way down the field, and he's got a lot of fighting back to do. And it just goes to show in this class, the battles are on in earnest, and if you're not right at the front, you end up battling cars that are very similar, and you all slow each other down that little bit, don't you?
You do, and here's Webber trying to make a move on Flanagan. So Noakes has obviously gone past, and he's further up the road somewhere.
Just trying to see where everybody is through the field as we see this battle continue. These three cars just not separated by much at all, are they? They keep trying to look left and right, see if they can make the pass, and here we are further up towards the front. That's Ben Shaw, Panacea in behind, and then Shannon McLean, who we saw get out of that last battle, be able to extract himself, and you can just see once you can get up to the next lot of cars as he dives to the inside of turn 4.
Gets through on Panacea, and so if he can get another spot back, he'll be almost where he would have started the race.
Yeah, exactly, and just ruining that early stages, probably caught a bit behind Terry Lewis and had a bit of a drama on that opening lap. So now he tries to chase out after Ben Shaw. A lot of blue smoke out of the back of Panacea's car, so I'm not sure if he might be having some seal issues that we'll need looking into between races.
Could be running a rich mixture as well. But Panacea, who was a standout at the opening round of this championship, but just hasn't seemed to have been right at the pointy end since. He's in that top group of 5 or 6.
Yeah.
But certainly the wet weather, I think, of that first round may have helped him as well.
Exactly. Just have a look at this battle here. We've got Maisie Place now holding off Martin Welsh. He's going to look to the inside. Ooh, a little bit of a slide out of turn 6 for Welsh. Welsh right in amongst it, and then behind is Zabek Takis, and behind that William Ham. So this is a battle right down at the backstage of the field, but all 4 of them close together.
Well, Marty Welsh is very experienced. He raced street sedans back in the 80s, so he's not exactly new to racing Mazdas. And because back in those days, street sedans were basically Mazdas in over and under 2 litre forms, had enough in their field to field 2 grids just about everywhere they went, and Marty Welch was one of the strong competitors in those categories. Someone's had a bit of a moment out of turn 2.
Yeah, not exactly sure who that was, but they've dragged a wheel. But out in front, Brad Harris has been able to open the gap right up, and you can see across the line, able to take a very comfortable victory yet again from Justin Barnes. This time Tom Shaw gets home for 3rd place. 4th goes to Shannon McLean after that charge back through the field, and 5th to Ben Shaw for the 2nd race of the Oxsafe Australia RX8 Cup here at Sydney Motorsport Park.
Yeah, we're off for a while, and I think for once there, Brad Harris didn't actually get the best lift off, but he's managed to put enough into place to drive away from him after the start. Leads from Barnes, McLean up to 3rd, then it's Shaw in 4th, that's Tom Shaw, Ben Shaw 5th, Panacea and Terry Lewis on the inside of him, trying to improve his position as they go down to turn 2.
Again, Justin, look at all these cars going everywhere. Terry Lewis just made me sort of take breath for a second because he was going so hard into turn 2. Wasn't exactly sure he was going to pull it up, and sure enough, he's dropped a couple of positions as he runs wide. On board with David Grice out of the corner, a little bit of a sideways moment. The field now starts to get itself into a bit more of order.
Oh, you think?
Yeah, for the moment.
No, here we have Duncan trying to make a move on Panacea as well. So Duncan's been an improver throughout the races so far. and now making a move into what you would call the top fast guys in the category.
Lewis to the inside of Noakes down there at turn 6, so he's trying to continue to make up those positions. I think he thought he could make up a fair few in that early stages, and it just didn't quite work out for him at turn 2. As we go on board with Lyle, he's just a little bit further behind that group, and he's coming down to the hairpin now, and you can just see the long stream of cars in front of him. It's a lot of work to do and a lot of cars to look at when you know you're about 10th place in the field. So we swing around with Thomas Petrovic in the number 72, and on board now with Noakes, who's just behind this group.
Yeah, it was Flanagan who was just in front of him at the end of that. But you can see down the straight, they reach about 195 kilometres an hour down about this point. And you can see that the aero does have a bit to do. If you get into the slipstream, you actually start to haul in the person in front of you.
That's it. Petrovic got to the inside of Flanagan down into turn 1 and 2. And now we'll start trying to line up Noakes. And Noakes just lost a little bit of ground to Duncan through 2, as Lewis, it looks like, is working on the group in front of him. He's got past Shaw, and will continue now that charge forward that we would expect from him to try to get back inside the top 5 by the end of this race at least. Potentially a podium as well. I'm not sure that anyone will be able to catch Brad Harris with the pace he's shown all weekend,
or
unless Justin Barnes
for that matter.
Yeah, those two have been very, very quick this weekend. You can see just out in front, they've been able to just open the gap ever so slightly in the opening stages of this one.
And in the background, it looks like Petrovic is attempting to make a pass. Might get a better look at that as they head down towards turn 2. Did he get past?
He does, to the inside of Noakes. There he is there. So Noakes now looks back to the outside. Flanagan with a bit of a watching brief in behind them, and he won't be able to do anything about that. So he looks to the outside, he'll look to the inside here, probably stay with him through 3, and then 4, 5, try to see if he can get the run over the hill. A little bit of a slide for Petrovic through 5, but he's far enough in front that at 6 he won't come under any pressure.
Yeah, he's consolidated that position, you might say, at this stage. We've got more going on. Lewis through on Panaccio, and now looking at getting past Tom Shaw, and maybe 4th position. Then, of course, as you said before, a podium might be in the vision of achievement before this is over.
I'm sure he'll try to do everything he can, but you'd have to think
Tom
Shannon
will be
McLean,
sure he won't.
Yeah, Tom and Shannon McLean, 2 young guns in the category, will be looking to try to defend their position as best they can. Of course, Brad Harris, also a fine young driver with Justin Barnes in behind him, as Panaccio slides through 5 to try to chase down Lewis over the hill. So you can see here, Lewis has got to the back of Shaw and not been able to do much about it, and that's enabled those 2 cars that he passed almost in individual battles to sort of eke their way back up onto the back of him as well.
Well, he might have used up a bit of his tyre to get to that point, having dropped back in race 2 and then having fought his way through into a competitive position in that race and then carried on into this, may have used up a bit more tyre than possibly he would have liked, and compared to what everyone else around him's been doing.
As Duncan makes a good move down the inside of Panaccio into turn 1. It's been quite the position to make a few moves. They're obviously the draft working very well in the RX8 Cup, so the guys are able to get those moves made. And now see if Duncan can get himself on the back of Lewis. Ben Shaw just sitting there as well with a bit of a watching brief. These guys are right at the back of the top 10. You wouldn't think it for how hard they're racing, but they're just at the back of the top 10 and need to try to get to those cars in front to sort of fight for a podium position, as Brad Harris and Justin Barnes just continue to eke their way away out in front of the field.
Yep, and there's McLean still leading away. Sure, he's done the right thing, I think, here. No good going and having a drama at the front and perhaps throwing away a possible championship. So he's been quite sensible in this. 4th position will more than get it for him.
Yeah.
And he comes back with a straight car as well.
I was going to say, he just needs to stay there, pick up the points, continue doing what he's doing, and he'll be able to pick up the championship here at the end of this race as Duncan starts to look at the back of Lewis. You'd have to say that Duncan's probably the raciest looking one car in that group there at the front at the moment, so have to see how he tracks through the rest of the race as we go back to this battle pack that we saw in race 2 was having a bit of fun as well. We can see here Maisie Place is continuing to lead this group at the moment. Got a few cars behind though. Luke Webber has dropped down through the field as well.
He may have had a reoccurrence of his earlier dramas.
Yeah, just looking at the timing sheet there, and you can see he's dropped out as number 54 of Martin Welsh. Looks to the inside and starts to try to work now on the back of Maisie Place, and may well look to the inside here at 6. Probably Martin feels like he's got the run over the hill. He's going to have a look.
She's given him a fair bit of room as well, which is commendable, but also has a quicker run through the corner, so actually gets that spot back.
Yeah, and then Welsh lost out down around Corporate Hill because of that run out, so that's an unfortunate thing for him, losing out to Kiara there around the back section of the circuit. So now we'll see if Maisie Place can defend here down into turn 2. Maisie's had to spend a lot of time looking in the rear view mirror and positioning the car in the late stages of this race. As now we look to the outside, not able to do anything around there, and that'll enable Welsh to buy back into it as well. But I'll tell you what, some great battles for them down the field as we look at our front runners coming around the final corner for the last time, and it's going to be Brad Harris, who will take a very comfortable victory at the end of the day.
Yeah, Barnes across line in second. McLean just covering himself by getting into third spot ahead of Shaw. Terry Lewis into fifth spot, just ahead of Duncan.
We'll get down to the pits and have a chat with our round winner, Brad Harris, and also our championship victor, Thomas Shaw.
3 races, 3 wins. Doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. Just keep it on the black stuff and stay in front. You get that gap at the start and just maintain it. It's good.
Is that the idea was that just to get out in front and do it as you did?
Yeah, pretty much. If you just get that gap and you just maintain it, look after the tyres. They go off pretty early, so just look after that and stay in front. That's the goal.
And you really never had any challenges?
No, I was only sort of in the first few laps in the first race. Justin was there, and I was like, as long as there's enough gap, he can't ever go up the inside. I'll just maintain at that.
Well done. You're doing the Phillip Island last round?
Yeah, definitely. We'll be down there. So hopefully, I haven't driven the RX8 at Phillip Island, but I've driven a Suzuki GDI. So give it a bash.
Good luck with that one, and congratulations on this.
Cheers.
Our 2022 RX8 Cup champion, Tom Shaw.
How you going? Yeah, that's awesome. Finally wrapped up the state. Had to work for it this weekend, but yeah, it's quite rewarding to be the state champion. And massive thanks to the team all year. They've done an awesome job preparing the car. Dad, the boys, it's just been awesome. And we had a few challenges this weekend. Friday didn't start too well with an ABS issue. So we sort of behind the 8 ball all weekend, but to come back and have a podium this morning and top 4 again, it's nice points, so quite rewarding.
Was it in your mindset to try and win the races, or were you thinking more of the points?
Yeah, you're sort of thinking both ways, but we had the championship brain on all weekend, and as much as it hurts, you want to make the move into turn 1 and try and get a podium here and there. You sort of click your brain into it, just thinking about the championship. And yeah, we're losing 2 points to Justin Barnes. We're still thinking about the national for Phillip Island in December, so we've still got work to do. It's not over yet. That's what we're thinking about. But to be crowned the state championship's awesome, and couldn't be happier for the team. It's really odd.
Big congratulations. Well done.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Well, that's all the action we've got for the RX8 Cup for 2022. We hope you've enjoyed it all here on Blendline TV. Make sure to check out their website for more information on the 2023 series and perhaps get involved with RX8 Cup racing. Until then, thanks for joining us. Bye for now.